Here is an introduction to notation. In music, we use 7 letters, just 7 letters, to notate and describe music. It is simply just A through G. Now, it would be very strange to look at music if it was written out in letters, A, C, E, F, and so on. That'd be very clumsy to look at. Likewise, we wouldn't be able to tell what rhythm was going on. So that's why we use notation. In our notation, we use 2 clefs primarily. Hopefully you are already familiar with at least one, if not both. But let's go through how they were created so you can better understand those clefs. First, there is the G clef. And how the G clef was created is we decided that this line was going to be G, and so every note that appeared on that line were all going to be G's. And so the treble clef looks perhaps a little like a G, with moving up and down and up and down. Now, once we've asserted that that line is G, then all of the other lines will follow the alphabet accordingly. So at this point, it's very helpful to know all the lines of the treble clef, E, G, B, D, and F. And if those are all the lines of the treble clef, then we have 4 spaces. And those are F, A, C, and E. So there's our treble clef, or G clef. We also have an F clef, saying that every note that appears on this line is going to be an F. And it looks like this. Put 2 dots above and below that line, and then a circle up there and down. And that's our bass clef. Once we've asserted that this line is going to be F, then all of the other lines fall in accordingly. There's all the lines of the bass clef, G, B, D, F, and A. Likewise, all of those spaces in between the lines and creates A, C, E, and G. So we have lines of the treble clef and lines of the bass clef. The G asserts that the treble clef asserts that that G is going to be right there. The bass clef says that F is going to be right there. And all of these notes then to fall into place. Now it's your job now, though, to become very familiar with every single note on every single line and space. So now let's see what happens when we put the treble clef and the bass clef together. Let's draw a bracket at the end. And now we have what we call a grand staff. The grand staff is very cool because right in between the bass clef and the treble clef is middle C. So the ledger line above the bass clef is middle C, and the ledger line below the treble clef is middle C. Now follow all of the lines as we progress all the way through the bass clef, starting with that lowest line on the bass clef, which is G, B, D, F, A, and then middle C, and it keeps going. E, G, B, D, and F. Eventually, we'll know all of these as thirds. And you can even remember your 7 letters in a pattern of thirds. For instance, you see here A, C, E, G, B. Well, you see it actually right here too. A, C, E, G, and then what would happen next as this cycles through again? G, B, D, F, and so on. Or even this B, knowing the thirds, it'd be B, D, F, A, C, E. Could be another quick way of remembering or identifying notes on your treble clef and bass clef. But at this point, the most important thing is that you get familiar with the treble clef and the bass clef and can read them fluently. There's one more clef you need to be familiar with. The C clef. And what the C clef looks like is you take that middle line, which we are going to call C, put a little line, and then 2 backwards C's. This is also called the alto clef. And again, once we've asserted that that middle line is C, then all of the other lines fall into place. F, A, C, E, and G. And if those are all of the lines, then these spaces will be G, B, D, and F. Don't worry so much about the alto clef right now. Just be ready to identify some notes every once in a while. For the most part, get very familiar with both treble clef and bass clef. They will be what you see the most often all the way through your 6 semesters of music theory.